What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast, episode 95. I don't have my co-host in here dealing with me tonight, but it's still going to be a great show. I got my buddy Jordan Brown from up north of Michigan. What's going on, dude?
What's going on, brother? Good to be back.
Good to be back. Did you and the family have a good Christmas holiday?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kids got a lot of stuff, cardboard everywhere, and wrapping paper all over the house on Christmas Day. So thrilled about that.
Oh,
And
I bet.
lo-
I know.
lots of
I'm. I
batteries.
don't, I don't know how you are, but I'm that guy. I'm that dad. As soon as like he starts unwrapping presents, I'm behind him with the trash bag. Like, all right,
Yeah,
put it in the bag, dude.
yeah, we got a trash bin off to the side. It's mostly the little girl. She's only a year and a half, so she doesn't quite. She'll put it there, but then she goes and she'll grab it back out. So she doesn't understand the concept of trash. Leave it there. It's
Just kind of thought of a question. Talking about the holidays. Do you have any kind of holiday traditions that's kind of a staple? That's your favorite?
Well, so I would say Christmas Eve at my grandparents' house. It's something we've done ever since I was a kid. We go over there, take our family picture, eat a bunch of food, then we go in their sunroom and kids open the gifts first, and then after that, the adults open the gifts and everything. And it's kind of something we've been doing ever since I was a little kid. And I will say, because I'm getting older, the presents get more expensive. I get a lot less every year, so it's kind of a
You're right.
downer a little bit, but it's
Are you the dad in the background with holes in his underwear, hoping for that new package of underwear?
Yeah, right. Dude, I'll tell you what, getting to this age, I never appreciated underwear and a Christmas present more than what I do now. But back then, it's like, hey, stop getting me that. But then they stopped getting it for me, and now I'm old. And I'm like, hey, can we bring that back? Let's do that again.
Right.
That's
Did you get anything hunting related as a gift?
yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. So I got a new drag sled, I think it
Hmm.
was.
Yeah.
I haven't even pulled it out yet. I've just got it labeled because it looks like one of them plastic ones that rolls up, and I'm
Hmm.
afraid once I take it out, I'm not gonna be able to get it back in there perfect again. So I still got it in the
Right.
box. I got it on my hunting shelf, just labeled drag sled, and
That's
that
awesome.
way I just know what it is.
Nice.
But yeah, I got that, and oh, let me see. What else did I get? Um, Honestly, not a whole lot of hunting related stuff. Mainly, that was the main hunting related stuff. We're doing a lot of stuff on our house because we've only got one bathroom in this place, and now we got 4 people living here. So I told everyone, hey, you need to give me gift cards to Home Depot, Menards, anywhere. That's all I want because we got to get another bathroom in here. Stat.
I know
That's
how that goes, man.
yeah.
I think I got a Bass Pro card from somebody, and then I got my mom killer present, by the way, but got me like the spot and stalk monopod from Fourth Arrow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, talking about coming in clutch. My turkey season is going to be a lot easier to film because, man, dragging around that tripod turkey hunt it can be a chore sometimes.
Yeah. It sucks. I didn't like doing it. Of course, I haven't filmed anything with it yet, so it was mainly just a test run for me. It's the first year I did it, and
Mhm.
I wasn't a fan. I'm sitting there, I'm like, gosh, man, they're gonna see me so quick and moving this stuff around and
Right.
carrying this out with the decoys and everything else. Um, One thing I do want to get for like hunting in general. Have you ever got? Do you have one of those 360 cameras?
I have a GoPro Max Hero, which it is a 360 camera. I don't use 360 maybe like I should. For one, I don't really know how to edit it. I think it'd
Okay.
be really cool to use in certain situations. Like I got it, I think a year ago or 2 years ago. I can't remember. And we have like a point of view thing you can screw in, and it's just a rod that comes out uh, made by Fourth Arrow that we can put that on, and I can control the GoPro from my phone, and it's just kind of like a different angle, almost a secondary or a third, because we usually have a couple of GoPros running whenever we're filming together. Anyways, usually if I'm just self filming, I just have it on regular hero mode or whatever that's called. I know a lot of people would like the Insta 360s over the GoPros. I got this before that whole thing blew up. I'm just going to stick with it. I think it was like a
Mhm.
$600 camera,
Yeah,
so
they're
I'm not
not cheap.
replacing. Yeah, I'm not replacing it anytime soon.
Yeah, no, it's not, they're not cheap at all. I've seen a couple of videos, just stuff on YouTube. I think it was mainly turkey hunting stuff.
Hmm.
People in their blinds and they've got the 360 going. I'm like, God, man, that's freaking cool. It's you
Yeah,
can
they're
just you
really nice.
see everything. It's
Hmm.
it's just cool.
Yeah, I don't know if they have them or not, but I think I'm going to try to use that Bass Pro Bass Pro Cabela's. I think you can use the card at both. I think because
Yeah,
they
I
both
think 'cause
same
technically
owners.
speaking, I think they're one company now.
Yeah, I believe
Yeah,
they are.
yeah, I think you can.
But I'm gonna look for. I don't know if you've seen them before, which might help you out in your filming situation. But they're called Nukem blinds. Have you seen those?
Yeah, we actually talked about that. I think last episode ago, or yeah, yeah, the last episode for turkey season. I think you were gonna send me the link on that. I don't know if we ever did or not, but yeah,
I'll
I
need
did
to
look.
send it to you.
Yeah, I did look those up, and I'm thinking about doing that for
Yeah,
sure.
I ran one with Adam. He had one. He bought one at like our Deer and Turkey Expo a couple years ago, and I think it's perfect.
Hmm.
Perfect hide for one person. Now they do
Yeah,
make a setup where you can buy two, and then there's like a link where you can link them together.
yeah,
But they're honestly in any situation, really. I mean, they'd be nice. I mean, up against a tree on a field edge. I mean, certain situations, maybe even kind of out in the open a little bit.
hmm,
But there's a hole I think you can kind of film out of. I don't know how great
yeah.
that would be,
It's
but
like
just
your
hiding your
camera's
body is
like
going to be enough.
yeah, like your camera's attached to it, isn't it? Or not attached to it, but it's like through the hole or something like that. I looked it up vaguely.
Well, you can change like the height of the blind on how
Yeah.
far you take the legs out, and there's a hole on each side that you can shoot through. But I think if you had your monopod or tripod or whatever you're using, you could get your camera set up high enough where he couldn't see you moving it. I mean, he could pick you off if he was really paying attention, but I think it would help filming out quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you could probably even set it up on the your lens of your camera, and it would probably almost like balance itself out on there, and then just move
Yeah.
with your camera.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd probably end up botching it somehow still.
Yeah, I would too. I would too. It'd be bad enough I'd have my son with me, so that wouldn't I mean,
Right.
I think that's one of the main reasons why I haven't gone to like anything more stealthy like that. I feel like to me, one person out turkey hunting, that would probably make a lot more sense. But with him, just dude, he's just so antsy and so I gotta have him fully enclosed. Just
Oh yeah.
they come up behind us or anything like that, they're gonna pick us off quick if he's out
Well,
there with me.
I do love filming turkeys. It is hard to hide that many people.
Hmm.
Um, like for instance, West Virginia last year, there was a couple hunts on where we had three people, and we weren't moving a whole lot. Like we were just basically in this one field. We call it the Field of Dreams. It's like clockwork. 8:30, 9 o'clock. There's going to be gobblers or jakes or something in the field, so we already kind of know how it's going to play out. Which I don't mind sitting in a blind there, because we're not going to be going. And I mean, if we have to get out and run and gun them, let's do it.
Hmm.
But if I'm running and gunning, I don't want nothing to do with the blind. I'm not carrying it around.
Hmm.
I'm not doing that sort of thing. But I think with the monopod, I can set up quickly on a run and gun situation. I mean, it's hard enough to film turkeys, let alone self film a turkey. I always kind of like having that extra guy to run a camera. We can always, if I pop one, we can always switch. You grab the gun, I'll grab the camera or whatever. But I'm looking forward to spring already for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. And that actually is a situation I got into this last spring with a gobbler. I couldn't get him to commit. And if I could have been mobile, I probably could have got him. I mean, I've got video of him staying like maybe 60 yards just on the other side of the neighbor's fence. And he's not committing to coming over the fence, but he's over there. And every time we're going back and forth. He's fanning up and everything. But I got my son with me and we're
Mhm.
sitting in the blind and I can't take him with me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
sacrifices.
that could be for sure. Um, did you kill a turkey last year?
No, I didn't get one last year. I did the year
No.
before, but I didn't get one last year.
I
And
said I remember you killing one.
yeah, to be honest, that was probably more my fault than anything. I mean, there were turkeys everywhere, and I mean, I had a couple of close encounters, especially when I had my son out there. We had another encounter. He came in, same place, 60 yards, neighbor's property, fanned up a couple times, but then he took off. But I only went out a couple times. I didn't go out really that much more than that. I want to get another turkey, but I'm more of a deer hunter.
Yeah, man, I understand completely. I'm sure for some people like yourself, it's maybe just something to do in the spring, or
Yeah.
you're kill the time in between you getting to do something else.
Mm-hmm. And my son,
It
he didn't want to go with me the third or fourth time I went, because after he went, the downfall is the first time he ever went with me, I got a turkey. That was his first time.
will.
So because of that, yeah, exactly. He's under the impression every time he comes out with me in the woods, we're going to be walking out with something. So he went the first time. We couldn't get that turkey to commit. We went the second time. We sat majority of the day, had the other turkeys come by, didn't commit, kept on going. And third time I'm getting ready to go out. I'm like, all right, buddy, you ready? We got to go. He's like, I don't want to. It's so boring. I'm like, buddy, all right. I'm not going to force you.
That was how I was at first. I think I actually killed my first turkey before I killed my first whitetail.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a kind of the same situation. Let's do something in springtime, kill the time before we can deer hunt again. And man, there is something about that springtime woods that has me absolutely hooked. Sometimes it's hard for me. If somebody put a gun to my head and made me choose, it'd be hard because I love chasing spring gobblers, man. It is a blast.
What? Yeah, and I will say, walking out there at 5 o'clock in the morning and just hearing them up in the trees, and you could just hear them going at it. It's like, this is awesome. This is kind of cool.
Right.
It kind of gives you a little shivers when you're getting near your blind. And you're like, oh man, any second now they're gobbling.
Oh yeah, I love it, man. Last year I did my personal best. I killed 3, one in Tennessee, one in West Virginia, and then one up there by you in Michigan. And man, there's a lot of turkeys up there in Michigan. I never would have really thought that because there's really not that many where I'm from. So I guess correlate, you being kind of close. But man, I go up there with mid-state guys, and there is freaking turkeys everywhere.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of turkeys, and it's funny because Victor, he actually, because he's from Kalamazoo,
Mm-hmm.
he said when he lived in Kalamazoo there weren't any turkeys.
That's wild.
And now, I mean, I'll tell you what, man, they're everywhere. Even
Yeah.
down there, they're all over the place. I mean, hell, my dad lives in the middle of Grand Rapids, and he's got, I don't know, maybe 20 turkeys that come walking through his yard every single morning in the
Wow.
city. I mean, or just outside of the city anyway, but you see them all over the city. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, shout out to my buddy Ron Howard, who I know is listening to this on driving somebody's personal parts around somewhere in the country right now. But he got 4 last year, and it was like I felt like me and him were in this race to 4 last year. I'm like, he's got 3, I got 3. I'm going to get another one, but he beat me to it. He killed his 4th up there in Michigan. And it's just fun, man. It's not even about numbers for me. I just want to go have a good time with my buddies, and turkey camps have turned into a huge staple in my outdoor life the last few years. And the people that I share those turkey camps with, man, it is an absolute freaking blast.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been seeing your videos. I know you do that turkey camp. I see you around.
All right. Well, I know we're 13 minutes in, buddy, but for somebody that doesn't know Jordan Brown, introduce yourself a little bit.
Hey, everybody. I'm Jordan. It's my 3rd time here on the Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast. And I'm an avid deer hunter, whitetail primarily. Haven't really done much of any other type of hunting. I want to in the future. Everything every hunter wants to. But my love of whitetails is what made me who I am today when it comes to being in the outdoor woods. So, but yeah, whitetail hunting.
Well, that's a good thing because that's what we're here to talk about.
Yes, sir.
Jordan, you had an incredible year, man. You killed what, 2 this year?
Yeah, 2 of my biggest bucks I got this year. Didn't think I was going to be able to top the first one, and sure enough, I topped it with my second one, and I'm just smiling ear to ear on cloud 9 this year. It's it's been a phenomenal season for me, especially with one of them being on public land.
That's even better. So we'll get into that. We were just talking about turkey camps and how much they mean. You do something that's kind of out of the ordinary when it comes to whitetail hunting as far as camps go. You guys do an early season camp on public land, right?
Yep. We do early season on public land. We stay at a campground about central Michigan. I'm not saying any names or anything, but we
Yeah,
stay
let's
up
keep
at
that.
a campground. They are open the first week of October. It's the only campground up there that is open that week. And I mean, we go up there, we stay that week, and we hunt nothing but public land up there while we're there. And I mean, they've gotten to know us so well up there, they don't even ask for a deposit on the campsites anymore. It's just like
That's awesome.
they know we're coming. It's
Is there a lot of other people, other hunters in camp?
no. There was last year. We had a hunter. It might have been a couple of guys. I don't really remember, but there were a couple guys. They rented a cabin that was a couple lots down from our rustic lot that we were at. Um, but other than that, I think we were majority of people that are up there the time of year that we're there are the seasonal people, and they're
Mhm.
just packing up their camper and everything because it does have a seasonal trailer area out there, and majority of them are just buttoning up, making sure they got all their stuff and packing up their golf carts and everything else. But aside from that, I mean, we're really the only ones up there that are staying there to do anything really.
Right. So talk about how it played out. I know you guys go a day ahead of time and do some
Mhm.
scouting and stuff.
Yep. Usually we'll go. We go up and scout. Typically throughout the year, we usually start that in about the spring. We want to make sure we got some green on the trees and can see the movements and sign and stuff like that. But we'll usually go up a day or two ahead of time and just verify where we're gonna go. We'll completely cover our scent the best we can, so we're not leaving a bunch of trail out there where we plan on being. But we typically will go up there and we'll scout all the public land we intend on hunting and just making sure we know the best access routes just so we're not bumping deer hopefully in the mornings or the evenings going out to sit, and just making sure we have the best opportunity that we can.
That's awesome, man. I said that a second ago. I'm like, what whitetail hunters mostly, do camps later on in the season during, maybe pre-rut or the rut
Hmm.
or maybe shotgun season and stuff like
Yep.
that. I did a camp before you even did. I did a camp in Missouri, like the 15th of September or
Oh
20th or
wow.
whatever it was. But that was just because I couldn't hunt at home. I'd already been the velvet hunting with Dylan in Tennessee, and I went out there to Missouri early season, and we struggled quite a bit. Really, I think I only saw a couple deer the whole time I was there. Just didn't really work out like I wanted it to. I mean, there's some great deer there. Back, let's see, we've been the first or second week in November. My buddy Randy Kincaid killed a 160 there,
Oh wow.
and I mean it's a freaking giant. He said he wouldn't set up for more than 15 minutes. He did a snort wheeze and shot the deer within being in the stand of about 25 minutes, which is
Holy crap, man.
insane,
That's doesn't get better than that. It's
right? That doesn't happen very often,
no,
but
it doesn't. It
it
does not
happens to a
happen
guy
often
like
at
him
all.
because he kills some freaking, I mean, absolute giants. I mean, that whole kind of group that I do camp with, we used to do Kentucky camp.
Hmm.
Me, Adam, our buddies Clint and Randy, and then Jason Bertram that's on BR, BRB staff too. But we used to go down to Kentucky, the opener down there, but we kind of switched it to all of us going to Missouri. But then when they went back in November and Randy kills the big one over there, and Birch said he's seen something of like 30 plus deer, 20 plus turkey of an all day sit in Missouri. So I may not do Missouri early season next year. I may wait till November to head over there.
Wait
But
till November starts.
yeah, but I think I might go back to Kentucky. I picked up 168 acres private land in Kentucky, and it looks really, really good. So I'm going to turkey hunt it and fill it out, put some cameras, that sort of stuff. But I may get back on trying to shoot a velvet down in Kentucky. It's just kind of tough because I like hunting all these other states, but it gets expensive because
Hmm.
I think a Kentucky tag is like 275. I pay 265 in Missouri. Come home, pay another 100 here. It's just like before you know it, I got almost $1,000 just wrapped up in tags. That's just
Yeah,
deer.
and you got. I mean, that's it. It does get expensive. We're looking into doing it next year, actually. that we're talking about it, not 100% sure yet. Just figuring out the public land parcels and stuff that we got right now that we hunt.
Mhm.
It's hard for me to break away from that and go somewhere else to do
Yeah.
something. Now
But
I
it's
got to
also
start from
another
square one.
another adventure too, you know. I'm
Yeah,
sure, you guys, how many years have you guys been doing that camp?
probably 4 to 5 years.
Right? And then the first, few years you were doing it, it was just had that level of excitement because you didn't know what you were getting yourself into.
Yeah, yeah. But now I shot a nice buck up there, and now it's like, I mean, they might want to venture off somewhere else, but I'm like, nah, I like where I'm at. I'm doing good. Let's
That and
just,
it's just buying your resident tag too.
yeah, yeah. By being able to buy a resident tag versus an out of state tag is like, it's not that much more. I mean, I could pay, I could do it, but I mean, then I got to drive there, then I got to scout it, and it's like, come on now.
Yeah, when you get one that you really like that much, it is hard to step away from it
Well,
for sure.
and ironically, the place that they're talking about going is Indiana, where you
Oh,
are.
well, nice.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure where yet, but apparently they've got another buddy that goes out to Indiana from Michigan.
Mhm.
And he's talks a big game about it. He says every year he goes there, and he says within the first week he could shoot a 150 if he wanted to.
Oh, wow.
I don't
You
know
need to
where he's
send me some
going. It's
pins.
public land, but I don't know. I guess I'm gonna find out maybe.
Well, it wouldn't be that far of a drive for you, and I think our out of state bow hunting tag is maybe like 225 or something like that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like outrageous by any means, but it would be you shooting just a buck. That'd be it.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you don't have a problem with that anyway.
No, no. If I left state, it would be for a buck. It wouldn't
Mhm.
be. I got does here in Michigan like crazy. I'm not gonna spend out of state money for a doe. No, I mean, I could. I'm not going to. We got so many does up here. I could just spend $20, shoot a doe. Spend $20, shoot a doe. If I needed to.
Mhm.
So yeah, if I'm going out of state, it's gonna be for a buck. It's gonna be for a wall hanger.
I got I think this will be my fourth or fifth point. I think it's fourth. I think it's my fourth point for Iowa. I could put in for that if I wanted to, but I believe I'm going to wait one more year for that. Um, and try to set it up a little bit. I'm working with a couple of buddies that got some places over there to hunt. Not that I'm afraid to go hit public. Believe it or not, it is, from what I understand and what I've read. I know my buddy over there is going to be Trevor is going to be listening to this at some point, but it's almost easier to draw a gun tag in the state of Iowa than it is a bow tag.
Really?
It is, and in certain zones, you don't even really necessarily need a point. You could basically draw it your first time putting in for it because there's not that many people putting in for it. But
Mm-hmm.
all these people want to bow hunt southern Iowa, southeast Iowa, right around in there with the bow. So many people are putting in for it, and it's just like, it's really hard to get. And that's what I want to do, but I also don't want to. It may be an overcrowded thing. If there's that many people putting in for certain zones, it may be something I don't even really want to mess with, but
Yeah.
I really want to get over there.
Yeah, I kind of want to go everywhere. I want to go to Iowa. I want to go to Kansas. I want to go everywhere. But I got to start somewhere. So we're starting with Indiana.
There you go. Hey, that's a good place to start. I may know some people that do well in Indiana.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it would be me because I missed one a few weeks ago. Then I totally redeemed myself last Sunday. Was able to punch my Indiana buck tag, not on video. I wish it would have had been, but I had 5 minutes left of legal shooting light,
Hmm.
and I thought I'm going to get down because there was a clearing I have to walk through to get back to the property owner's house where I was parked, and there had been deer in there in the previous nights on camera. I was like, I might just give myself a few minutes and walk through there and see if I can maybe get lucky and have one just pop out of nowhere on me. So I'm starting putting my stuff together, and putting all my stuff back in my bag. And this particular stand is a ladder stand, and it's on an alfalfa field, but my back is to a really long country driveway. I mean, it's just a little gravel driveway. It goes back up in the hills. And I just happened to turn around, and he was in a plowed cornfield 50 yards behind me, and I hadn't even really noticed he was there. He was headed to some cut corn, which ended up being loaded with deer that I couldn't see from where I was sitting.
Hmm.
And I got a shot at about 50 yards, blew his shoulder out, his face hit the ground. He drug himself a few yards, and then he actually got up and somehow made it to this wood line. And believe it or not, I didn't get a single drop of blood, like at
No
all.
kidding.
No kidding. 50 cal muzzleloader. I mean, absolutely destroyed this dude's shoulder. Like I said, when I shot it, he tried to step and his face hit the ground. So I'm thinking he's
Uh-huh.
going down right here, you know. He ended up making it about, we'll say 250, 300 yards from where I shot him.
Oh,
I,
wow.
I was at to the point where I couldn't find him, couldn't find no blood, and there was snow on the ground. Like I'm like looking around, like you can see where like he took off after I shot,
Oh,
but
so
I
you
couldn't.
didn't even see blood on the snow?
No, so like I knew where he
Wow.
went in the woods at, and we looked and looked and looked and looked, and I couldn't find him. So I was kind of getting down on myself, and I said, let's come back tomorrow in the daylight and look for him, and hopefully it pays off. And he goes, let's do one more big loop, and we'll see what happens. And about that time we made that loop, my headlamp hit him, and he kind of went through some thick stuff, and it must have caught his legs, you know, and then he fell. But he was right outside some real thick stuff. I mean, it was kind of hard to even walk through. There
Yeah.
he was laying there, broke up. He's 8-pointer, but one of his G2 on his left side is busted off. He's probably 110, 115 inches. He's not the biggest buck I've ever shot. Boy, he's one of the hardest bucks I've ever earned. um, you know, like it got me excited. You know, I've had so many encounters this year, and I missed the one with a muzzleloader a couple of weeks ago. I was just down on myself. It was just it got me excited. I felt like a little
Yep.
kid out there again. I didn't have the camera. I said, I'm just going to sit in this stand and throw a Hail Mary. We'll see what we see, you know, and it paid off for me. And I can't thank my buddy Clint Butcher enough. He that was where I was hunting. I was hunting his property. He shot a nice buck back in November. There's some really nice deer running his place. He's going to have a very nice crop of bucks in the next couple of years, and I just can't thank him enough for allowing me to come hunt. I kind of struggled this year with having a place to hunt. The place that I've hunted for 22 years, I got kicked down to bow only. So when gun
Mhm.
comes out, I'm not even allowed to be in there. It's a family thing. They got some family members hunting it and whatnot, which I respect that. So it was kind of a struggle for me to balance only having two places really to hunt and not screw both of those places up.
Yeah.
And then Adam was gracious enough to take me a bunch to his Henry County spots and stuff like that. And I got behind the camera for him a whole bunch. It was just one of those seasons where it was kind of a slap in the face reality wise of what it takes to have property around here to hunt because everybody
Yeah.
hunts around here. It's really tough to get a piece.
Yeah, it most definitely is. I've been fortunate enough that everywhere I've been, like when I lost the private property that I was hunting just because I moved and they were doing stuff out there. I didn't really want me to hunt it anymore, stuff like that. So I respected they wanted to do their own thing out there. It's whatever. It's not my property. What you want to do with it is your business. But
Right.
um, and then I managed to get a job somewhere and I'm able to hunt there as well. And aside from that, I've always had the luxury of being able to hunt private land. So it definitely is a luxury and you can't take it for granted because when it's gone, you realize how much harder it is.
Yeah.
And luckily when we do all this public land hunting, it's kind of easing me to a point where I know I can get on deer. I've just gotta you gotta put in the work for it. And
Hmm.
it's not an easy task. It really is not. But
Right.
I understand completely what you're saying with the public or with the private land and having it, and then you're either limited or you lose it, and it's just kind of like what do I do? It's where do I hunt then? Because I've got this place down, so what do I do now? It's I understand completely where you're coming from.
Yeah, it was tough. And then there was a property that Ryan picked up a few years back, and it was kind of a property where like me and him both got like written permission, but like I really didn't hunt it without Ryan. Like we'd kind of
Mhm.
hunted it together. So I just kind of asked him, you know, like, can you throw me a bone here, buddy? I kind of need a place to go full time. I don't really want to do it without you because we've got doubles hung there, and I've filmed him killing some giant there and some does and stuff like that. And I saw, and that's where I took Dylan when he came down for the gun opener and was able to get it done. Was on that particular property, so I'm really grateful to have a couple buddies close to me that allowed me to either hunt their place or take me somewhere or something like that. But I don't want that to be a normal thing. I don't want to rely on anybody for anything.
Yeah.
So this summer I'm gonna have to. I may just go knock on every door down through here. Like,
Yeah.
is there anybody hunting here or not? Or, what can I do to get myself in here? I'll bale hay. I'll do whatever you need me to do.
Good old
Just like
fashioned door knock. It's
right.
one way that I have gotten access to certain properties. I haven't gotten any for deer hunting yet, but I have for turkeys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever done this or not, but one way, I mean, if you know where there are some coyotes,
Mm-hmm.
because almost nobody likes coyotes, almost nobody, at least in Michigan. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I can almost guarantee 90% of the doors that say no to deer hunting, if you asked for coyote first, they'd 100% let you do it. And it's just, I mean, for me, it's a way in to the property. I mean, you obviously don't lead with deer hunting if you don't want to, but you could at least ask
Right.
about the coyotes, and just after you've done it for a season or two, just they know who you are, they know what you're doing, you've been on the property, then work your way into something else, turkeys, deer, small game, stuff like that. And I've had pretty good success with that here.
I might have to try that. Yeah, but I don't know how it is there where you're at, but we got like a very, very strong coyote hunting community around here. Like they do all these derbies, and I mean, it's nothing
Yeah.
for some of these guys to have to hit 30 properties in a night. They all do it with
Hmm.
the thermals and all that stuff. It's a big
Yep.
thing around here
Oh yeah, it's big.
because
It's
our
big here too.
population. I bet, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's getting pretty big. I think overall as a sport, but that's definitely a good tip for people. I might try that myself.
Yeah, and I typically will try and stay, like, like the town I live in is very small. So I typically try and stay in the small farm towns. There are some people out here that do it, but there's not a ton.
Mhm.
So it just kind of opens up your options a little bit more when you got people. And I'll tell you what, I'm not this video is not sponsored by Onyx Hunt, but I'm just I use a lot of that.
Mhm.
And so I use Onyx Hunt a lot when it comes to finding property and landowners and permission and stuff like that.
Yeah, I used it quite a bit last year once I got told that I could only bow hunt that particular property. I think I
Yeah.
sent two or three. I sent letters out. I mean, formal letters, my logo on them. This is who I am. This is how long I've been doing it. I'm very respectful, that sort of thing. Didn't really work out for me. Nobody really said yes. One guy said that I could walk it. I said, "Can I go look for sheds and stuff like that?" Because it's like landlocked. You can only get in there a couple ways, and he gave me
Yeah.
permission to do that, but he said not to go in there hunting, which it's whatever. But
Hmm.
he was still gracious enough to call me from my phone number on the letter and all that. But it's definitely a struggle for sure to pick up some property.
Yeah. I'm telling you what, man, we're definitely going to be hitting this public thing hard. It's
That's
especially
awesome.
after last year. You get a boost of, just it happened. Now it's like, okay, we can do this. We got this covered.
All right, so walk us through your early season buck, public land, Michigan. Set it all up for us.
Yes, sir. So, like you said, we do a deer camp first week of October every year. That's opening day here in Michigan. Our opening week here in Michigan is October. So we go up to a campsite and we pretty much just always hunt public land. First day, we didn't really do too well. We definitely saw deer. It was really, really foggy. My buddy, he had texted us and said, "Hey, did you see deer in the middle of the field when we came out here?" And we didn't really see anything, but after we sat there for a second, we looked and we were like, "Oh, hey, there's deer walking right at us." Um, but they were kind of sticking right to the property line in the public, so the private and the public, and we noticed looking at him, it's like one of those is a buck, and it was an 8 point, and he wasn't anything to write home about. He was a nice bodied deer. For some reason, the deer up in central and north Michigan, the bodies are way bigger than they are in southern Michigan, in my opinion, from what I've seen anyway in person. Um, so he came in probably about 60 yards on the private, came up to about 40, about maybe 20 yards over the property line. If he'd have came any closer, my buddy probably would have shot him. But he didn't. He walked off. It was a little spike that was with him, and they kind of did their thing. This after that morning sit on opening day, we decided to go out and check out some other public. And we looked at one, didn't really like it a whole lot. There were some fixed stands that were up there, like 2 or 3 on this parcel. We thought about hunting it. We just had the concern of we don't know when those guys are out there hunting it. So, last thing we want to do is set up and then because we typically get out there earlier. We get out there before everybody. So last thing we want is to be in the stand already for 45 minutes and all of a sudden you got a light walking towards you or something along those lines. So
Right.
we got out of there and I had this parcel I really wanted to look at. So we get out there and we start walking along this little creek bed. We cross over a bridge over a creek, and then we start walking along this dried up creek bed, and it starts to fill up as you're getting back there. So it's about a mile and a half back into the public.
Mm-hmm.
And we really wanted to go to this turn where this transition was from this tall grass field to some hardwoods. And you can see their sign everywhere. We look across the creek once we got down, and there's just scrapes right along this creek bed where the creek is about maybe a foot, 2 feet deep, give or take. It's mostly muck, but there's a ton of water there. And you can just see they're coming through here. They're drinking, they're hanging out. And there's like 4 or 5 big community scrapes. They're just huge. And we're walking along looking at, and then all of a sudden I look in the tall grass right there, and there's 2 or 3 beds. So they're coming here and they're staying here. And this grass is, I'm not even joking. This grass is like 6.5 feet tall. It's taller than me. And it's just beat down where they're sleeping. So they're sleeping there regularly. They're coming here on the regular. And we saw that and decided, you know what, we're going to come back here tomorrow. We're going to sit this. And luckily it was raining because we'd have left a ton of scent in there if it wasn't. So it was raining and we backed out of there. We pinned it and we just decided to come back the next day. We were going to go out the morning, but we decided to try somewhere else that morning. So October 2nd, we stopped hunting, didn't see anything. We go back to camp, get our game plan, eat some food, talk about what we're going to do, and then we head out. It's probably about 2:00-ish, give or take, because during early season, it doesn't get dark till 7:30, 8 o'clock. So your shooting light's a lot longer during that time of the year. But
Right.
So we throw our hang and hunt setups on our backs. We grab everything. We get a game plan. We start walking back there. We get hung up and everything. I'd say it's probably about 3:30, 3:45 by the time we got back there, got up the tree, got set, got hung and everything else. And so we're sitting out there and don't see anything at first. I'd say probably around 5:30 rolls around. I can hear something off to the right. And this nice body 4-point, man. I would have shot him. He's a 4-point. He's a tall 4-point. And this would have been my second public land deer. And he came out of nowhere. All I saw was his neck. And this buck, he may not have been very old. He may not have been very big, but he had a neck on him, man. I'll tell you. And he came in and he's probably about 40, 45 yards. I picked up my bow. I thought about it. And my buddy even said, and I've got this video online. You could hear him in the back. He's like, you could shoot that. You could. I said, he's 45 yards. He's like, you could shoot 45 yards. No problem. I've seen you do it. And I'm like, there's some stuff. I don't feel like taking the chance. And so I'm glad I did. I held off on that. So he's eating the acorns and stuff. And then he walks off. And I want to say I think it's about 7 o'clock. I'm looking around where this creek bed turns. And I see movement. And I'm like, hey, I think I see something. I think I see 2 things, maybe 3 things. And he's like, where? I'm like, right where it turns. And sure enough, like maybe 10 seconds later, I can see the buck that I shot. And he's coming. I haven't shot him yet, but this is the buck that I'm going to shoot.
Right.
He comes in and he's got this funky rack. I couldn't really make it out, but I could see 4 points on his left side. And he's got like just forks over here. So I don't know if it broke off or what it is, but it's tall too. So I'm like, oh man, I can't really, he's legal. He's a big buck. I'm going to shoot him. And you can see he's coming to those scrapes. He's on the other side of the creek. So which would be our side around that turn. He comes down and he stops, kind of looks around for a second, comes down to the water, takes a drink, picks his head up, looks around for a second, and then walks across. Now I'm focused on this deer. I can't see any other deer right now at this point. So he walks across the creek. He's walking right towards the scrapes. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is like it. This is perfect. The stars are aligned. He's doing every single thing I need him to do. And I told my buddy, I'm like, I'm going to shoot this buck. And we're sitting there and he gets right to where the scrapes are. He's kind of walking a little bit. I maybe have misjudged it because he was perfectly broadside, but he was really calm. But still, I felt the need because he was walking really, really slow. I drew back and I was just like, meh. And as soon as I did that, he turned towards me a little bit, making it a little bit more of a quartering shot. And it's starting to get towards the last legal shooting light. So I can see, but I'm looking through that peep sight. I've got a 5-pin sight right on him. I knew I was on him, but I didn't see the turn as much as my buddy did. So I shot him. He took off running, but then me and my buddy saw what was behind him, which I'll give you the explanation on that in a second. This huge, I swear to God, public land, 8 or 10 just massive deer, easily 150-inch deer, easily. He was
I'm coming
really,
with you next year.
he was wide. He had some girth on him, and oh my God, it's seeing that kind of makes you think you want to wait. But when you piece all the stuff together, we had a wind coming from my right, which would have been blowing towards him, but a little bit further ahead of him. So if I probably could have had enough light to shoot that big buck behind him. But if he got down to where our wind was, he'd have blown and took off, and then we probably never would have seen him again for that trip.
Right.
So I like what I did. He's my biggest buck. I'm 100% happy with it. It's also the first time I've ever used a dog. So we shoot him. We wait about an hour, give or take. The shot looked good. I'm right behind his shoulder. I didn't see the quartering as much. So we shot him. We get down, wait an hour, call our buddy Isaiah. He comes out to us. I had my buddy Pelkey sitting with me in the tree. So we go sit in the truck. We're waiting a little bit, and he shows up. We wait a little bit longer. We go out and we start tracking, and there's blood everywhere. This is just blood. And then we get up a little bit further down to the creek bed, and we notice there's a little bit of stomach in there. So I'm just like, oh no. So I know it's a lethal shot. I just don't like the fact that I'm seeing stomach. And
probably your exit from it being quartering like that.
Yeah. My heart went from here down to here. And
I've been there before.
Yeah. And we were seeing pools of blood, and then it just started to speck. And then it specked, and then we'd see another pool of blood, and then it specked. And you can tell from where the blood is and how the weeds and the grass and everything is that he's got us going through. He has not bedded down. So we're not pushing this deer. He took off running, maybe stopped and kept going and stopped and kept going or something like that, but he has not bedded down or anything yet. So we get to about maybe 150, 200 yards, somewhere in there, and it stopped. The blood stopped completely. So I walked 10 yards in this direction. My buddy walks 10 yards in this direction, walks 10 yards in this direction. He's even got one of those ultra something lights where blood shows up white when you're shining on it. So you can see it pretty good. And we just can't find it. But the whole time, me and my buddy Pelkey were like, what is that smell? I could smell deer. I smell the deer. But we're shining lights. We can't see anything, but we stop. And he's just like, dude, we got to back out. We got to get a dog in here. And I'm just, at this point, we leave and we're a couple hours in, and I'm just like, oh no, man, my biggest buck, public land deer. And I blew it. I'm just like, everything looked perfect though. So I'm just like, God, this deer is going to die, but why can't it be right now? So we get back to camp, and at this point in time, after we shot the deer at 7-something, waited an hour, 8-something, got a couple hours in, it's 10-something, go back to the truck, start talking to people. We hadn't just talking amongst ourselves. We had zero service, so I couldn't look up a tracker or anything right then and there. Because we're out in BFE. There's no cell phone service at all. There's nothing. Get back to camp where they got some Wi-Fi. We rusted camp, but we're a little bit not that rustic. We we got power to us, so we can charge batteries and stuff like that and everything else.
Right.
I jump on Facebook and I looked up this company. He happened to be in the county we were in, and at this point, it's almost midnight. So I'm just like, never having used a dog before. I'm just like, so do I call him now? Do I text him now? Do I message him? Like, how does this work? So I'm just like, all right, Hail Mary. I'm just gonna call him. I've said if he's asleep, I'll leave a voicemail. Whatever. It's deer season, so I can't imagine I'd be the only person reaching out to this guy if he's busy.
Right.
So leave a voicemail. He texted me, hey, just got home, just got back tracking. Sorry, I'll give you a call in the morning, this, that, what happened. So I sent him a picture of the arrow. I explained to him what happened. He called me almost instantly. And he's like, okay, so what time are you available tomorrow? That deer is going to die. I'm confident seeing that arrow, the placement that you're telling me, if it's accurate, that deer, if he's not dead already, he's going to be dead long before the morning. And we should be able to find him quick. And I was like, okay. And he came out and we get out there. Ironically, when we pulled up, DNR was also sitting next to him.
Oh, boy.
So I guess apparently he said he showed up to the spot and DNR just happened to be driving by, knew what he was going to be doing. So he waited to see if, everything was legal and all that. They shoot the shit with you and whatnot.
Right.
So show him my license and everything. Guy starts explaining to us what's going to happen. We're like, okay. And he's like, all right, let's go to the spot. So we take off, get about a mile back or so. We take him to the arrow and he's sitting there explaining to us what's going to happen. And the dog just starts going. And I'm just like, did you have to tell him to do anything? He's like, no, he knows what we're doing. And I'm just like, okay, you don't need to say anything at all. He's like, no, he's got this. We're going to start following him in a minute. We just want to let him get, his distance and we'll start following him. So we're talking, we're following the dog, and this dog is covering ground. Like I said, took us 2 hours. And this dog is covering ground that we covered in like a half hour in like seconds. He's working his way. He's walking way over here and then coming back. And I'm just like, is he losing the scent right there or something? Because we know he went that way. He says, no. He's like explaining that when you're following the deer of the trail, the scent of the deer is getting on you. So if you venture off and come back, the dog is following the deer scent. It's just on you. And
Right.
he's venturing. He's basically taking your same trail and everything. And I'm just like, this is so cool. And we're just walking. And I asked him, I was like, so what's he going to do when he finds my deer? Is he going to bark? He's like, no, he's just going to grab it and start pulling on it. But if he barks, we got to back out of here. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, if he barks, your deer is still alive. And I'm just like, how does he? Well, what if it's a different deer? He's like, he won't bark if he sees another deer. He'll only bark if it's your deer. I'm like, how does that work? Like, expert dog. How does he just know that it's my deer? And then he's telling me about the stress of the deer, the scent that it puts out when it's stressed and being shot, this and that. And I'm just like, okay, there's a lot more to this than what I thought there was. I just figured, okay, dog comes out, smells the blood, follows the blood, finds the deer. And apparently it's way more in detail than that, way more in depth. But anyway, so we come up to the last point and me and my buddies are saying, hey, I think we're looking on X, we're on the offline maps. And we're like, hey, all right, this is where we were. And I shit you not, man, 40 more yards on the other side of this dead tree laying down. The dog stops and starts grabbing my deer. And I'm just like, awesome. Oh my God, there he is. And I'm just sitting there thinking in my head, like, thank God we found him. And I'm just like, if we had just gone 40 more yards straight last night, we'd have found him because we were smelling that deer. We knew
I guarantee you.
And it was that was the best feeling ever and one of the coolest experiences hunting that I've ever had. Because like I said, I'd never used a dog before, so I didn't know how this is going to go.
Right.
And it definitely reassured me, like, hey, when in doubt, back out, call a dog, because I absolutely will do that anytime. The guy that I use, it's Michigan committed deer tracking, and he's out of Gratiot County, and it was just $200 flat rate. And even though, I mean, he was only there for 15 minutes, give or take,
right.
that was an awesome experience. It was worth every penny. Biggest public land buck, second public land deer, self-filmed. That was awesome. It's best experience hunting of my life so far.
So far until what? A month later?
A month and 13 days.
That's awesome though.
Yep.
So sorry. Go ahead,
Oh, no
buddy.
problem. No problem. I was just going to say it's when it comes to the next story is the biggest buck. We'll go over that in a second. But I would say experience wise with adding the dog in there and everything else, and the fact that it is public land and it's a hang and hunt setup that we did within a day and everything worked out perfectly. I would say that experience still trumps the biggest buck, but biggest buck is
Still the
still,
biggest buy.
yeah.
I wanted to touch on your hang and hunt. What exactly are you? What sticks and platform or sticks and stands? What kind of combo you got?
So I just bought this combo this year. I did it. It was when Amazon was doing their Prime Day month deal thing. I don't have Prime. I used my wife's.
Right.
So I'm not too familiar on the lingo, but it was something like Prime Day something. I bought the XOP. I think it's Evolution,
I think you're right.
or something like that. It's a decent sized platform. And I've used my buddy's XOP in the past, and I just love the fact you just put the little strap around, hook it on the little nut that's there, and you just put the platform down and it's fixed. It's done. There's no, ratchets or anything like that. And then I bought the not the 3 sticks, the 4 sticks. That's the
It's X2.
X2s.
Yep.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
I bought those. So that's my hang and hunt setup, and I also bought the J hooks for them, so I can fix the sticks to the stand while I'm carrying it as a backpack. So it's kind of just all there, and I've got it to where the seat's just sitting just at a 90-degree angle, so I can put my backpack with all my stuff on it on that, hook it to the stand, and then I've got everything right on my back.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's my hang and hunt. So it's second public land deer hang and hunt setup with my brand new hang and hunt setup that I just bought. And it was just everything couldn't have gone more perfect than that. Well, if the 10 point would have been in front of that bucket,
Right.
dude, I'm telling you what, man, he took off, and I'm telling you, like I said, 6.5 foot tall field of just weeds and grass, and he's just bounding up, and you just see rack, and then he gets down, bounding up again, rack, and it's just huge.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
might be
just
going next. I might be going with you next year.
you're invited to deer camp. I'll take you to deer camp. You come on.
The XOP setup is pretty cool because we have the exact same thing. I use those sticks not just for that, but for saddle hunting as well. But I have the exact same stand you're talking about, and it was kind of cool. I didn't hang mine until I think it was like November 10th or somewhere around in there. And then Dylan ended up killing out of it the 16th, I believe, the evening of the 16th. So it had about 6-day window of when I hung it and somebody killed out of it. But
So you're
I
saying
had
he
only
owes you one now?
he doesn't owe me anything, and I don't owe him anything because he sets me up pretty fat. I mean, not just deer hunting wise, but turkeys and all that stuff that I get to go down there and hunt with him. It's a blast. If I could get him another deer, I would do it. But yeah, let's fast forward to the 13th of November.
Yep.
Is that when it happened?
No, it's November 15th, opening day of gun season here in Michigan. So basically, fast forwarding a little bit, I went out, now that it's first week of October, I've got it out of me. I got my biggest buck so far. I'm not worried. I'm not rushing myself to get out in the woods or anything like that. I've got my buck. I've got meat in the freezer. Everything is success so far. So I want to say roughly 2 weeks leading up to gun season, when it more got into that rut type activity phase here in Michigan, is when I started, venturing out into the woods a little bit more. And I mainly stuck to the private land parcel that I hunt at my job. It's 40 acres. And it was a little off because I didn't run any cameras this year. Normally I run 2 or 3 cameras out there. I didn't run anything this year. So I'm kind of going off. I've been hunting this property for 5 years, and I've never not seen deer. There's always deer out there. It's just they're everywhere. But this year was a little bit different. I was getting kind of discouraged. I'm going out there, and this is just overlapping 2 weeks of leading up to gun season. I'm just not seeing as many deer, seeing a couple deer, not seeing as many deer, seeing a couple deer, and it's mostly does, a couple of small bucks, spike, stuff like that. And then one sit, I want to say it was November 10th or something like that. It was just a few days before gun season. I'm sitting in my stand, and I hear something behind me coming out of the south, or the southeast, I think that'd be. I look back, and there's this buck coming in my direction. He was moving pretty quick. I didn't really have time to take a look at what he was because he was moving. So I'm like, I've still got my bow. I'm like trying to get all situated, make sure my little action camera's going, my phone's going for recording and this and that. And he comes in, he's probably about 40 yards. He's just on my boss's property. But when he got to my only clearing in that area, I met at him, and he didn't stop. He just kept going, his head's down. I honestly think he's the buck that I shot opening day, because I saw him moving quick. He's a nice 8-point-ish, and he's moving. He's got his nose down, and he's just going off. So he gets into the pines, which I call the deer sanctuary. That's where they all go. And then I didn't see him. So leading up to that, I got there opening day of gun season, November 15th, and I decided to do an all-day sit. My boss gave me the day off, so I decided to do an all-day sit, see what happens. So I'm sitting out there early morning. I let some does walk by, and that's all I saw for a few hours. Then we had the neighbor driving through his field with his Ranger Polaris thing, whatever. So I'm getting discouraged this entire day because I'm not seeing as many deer as I normally do. I already let deer walk, which I regretted at the time. And now my neighbor's driving around, and there's guns going off everywhere because it's opening day of gun here in Michigan. So it's World War III going on all around me. And then lunchtime comes around, and I'm stuck on doing this all day sit. I thought about getting down, running to town, grab something to eat, and coming back, but I'm just like, no, this is my day. I'm staying here. I'm not going anywhere. So sitting out there, see a couple more deer, saw a spike chasing some does around. And then he ran off into the neighbor's property. 20 minutes later, gunshot. And there goes the spike. I actually watched the neighbor drive him on the Ranger off the property. So I know for sure it was him. He got shot. And then a couple more does, and it's getting towards about 5 o'clock. And legal shooting that day was 5:45. So I'm just like, okay, we're just going to stick it out now because it's 45 minutes left. Anything can happen. So 5:15 rolls around. I'm looking over to that big group of pines, and I see a tail flicker. And I'm just like, what is that? So I bring my scope up on it, and I'm just like, okay, that's a doe. I'm just going to, whatever. If it's a doe, buck, whatever, I'm shooting it. I don't care. We're going to throw out a Hail Mary. I'm going to start grunting at these things. So I pick up my doe bleat, and I'm just like, meh. And nothing happened. They kept going onto the neighbor's property. They get about maybe 70 yards or so, and I'm just like, it's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen today. I'm talking to my action camera saying it's not going to happen today. And then I'm just like, whatever, I'll try again. Meh. And I'm looking, and I've got a clearing looking down the neighbor's 2-track, and it's looking about maybe 90 to 100 yards. And after that second one, I waited a couple seconds, and all of a sudden I just see a head pick up. And I just see a rack, and I'm just like, oh my God, there's a buck. There's a buck. And I'm just like, is he coming to me doing the bleat, or is he just with those does? Because I didn't see him come around this way. What's happening? So then I decided to take the call, and I just, meh. And then he turned his head in my direction. And then all of a sudden he just kind of looks around for a second, and then he starts coming. I'm just like, oh my God, this is about to happen. So I've got my 350 Legend, and I'm just getting everything ready again. My action camera, my phone's recording, facing that direction. I'm just like, I see him walking up, and he gets to about maybe 60 yards. He's still about maybe 15, 20 yards on the neighbor's property. I'm just like, I need him to come a little bit closer because I can shoot up to at least 150 with my 350 Legend. It's just right. He's on the other side of the property line at this point. So I've had a couple people in the video that I took. They're like, well, you got the 350 Legend. Why didn't you shoot him then? Why didn't you shoot him then? Why didn't you shoot him then? I'm like, because it's illegal. It's he's on the neighbor's property. So he comes into about 40, and it's like 5:25 now at this point, and it felt like forever. But it goes pretty fast. I felt like I was watching him for a half hour. He comes in, he's right on the property line. He's about maybe 40, 45 yards, and he stops. He looks around, and it's not like a nervous look around, like, when you get busted or something like that, like you could see him like looking, cocking their neck around. He was just like walking up, and he was looking for that sound. He was like, where is it? Like, I know I heard that. Where is it?
Right.
And he's like very curious. So then he comes, starts walking. He stands behind the thick stuff. He's at about roughly 40 yards, give or take now at this point. He's right behind some thick stuff. I'm like, he needs to come just a little bit closer. Just walk into this opening. And he did. He walked 5 more yards, stopped, and looked around. I didn't even have to stop him. He's just looking around. I put it right on his shoulder and just boom. He dropped, started running in my direction, and died 10 yards from my stand.
That's awesome.
Came running right towards me. He got past me, and I've got all this on video too. You'll see in the video if you watch it, or anyone who's watching this watches it. You hear me go off on I do a second shot, and the main reason I did that was just because he came, he dropped down, he got really close to the fence, the cow fence that goes onto the neighbor's property, and the neighbor is kind of a you-know-what. So I didn't want the deer making it to that side of the property, whether he was squirming or anything. I knew he was going to die. So I let out a second shot just to make it quick, and done, down where he's at, and it did. And I'm just biggest buck of my life at this point. He's a really nice 8. Just like with your buck, his G2 was broke off. I think there's a mound of rocks that runs along the property line. And when he came to where he died, I think he barreled into those rocks and snapped it off. My taxidermy guy, he's going to fix it.
There you
go. Or make it look better than what it does anyway. But it was definitely, oh my God. And I'm just like shaking. I don't know what to do. Biggest buck, the season I'm already having. And I'm just like, what do I do now? Like, I was like Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights.
What do I do with my hands?
I don't know what to do with my hands. It's
well, that's awesome, man.
Everything turned out good.
Yeah. I had a real nice car.
Yeah, everything ended up fine.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm glad it worked out for you like that. Especially, it's always cool to hear a story about somebody's biggest buck. And like your biggest buck just happens to fall in the same season as you killed your biggest public land buck. And your second your second public land buck and all that stuff. It's just a cool, collaboration of all these stories put together. I mean, it sounds like you had one hell of a year, dude.
It was, and I didn't think I was going to be able to top last year. I mean, I've been on a streak where I have been getting 2 bucks in the same year. It's just like last year it was even bigger for me last year in 2023 because it was my first public land deer. It was a spike, but I had never come that close to a deer on public land with my bow. Never, ever, not a chance. Right. And he gave me a shot. I took it. And then I capitalized on that with my 7-point. I was tagged out with 3 deer, 1 doe and 2 bucks before November even hit, or before gun season. Because I think my 7-point was on November 3rd. So, but I was tagged out before gun season even hit. And then this year I didn't shoot a doe, but I got my biggest buck and public land buck. And then my buck that topped my biggest buck, a month later. And it was amazing. I don't know how I'm going to top this season, but I said that last year and I did it. So,
well, I love it because I know that you're a big meat hunter. That's all you and your family eat. You don't buy beef or anything like that.
Yep.
But for you, it's not like, okay, it's got to be a 4-year-old or it's got to be this or it's got to, and you put all that, you just go out there, you deer hunt, you have a good time, you just let it come to you, and I think that's awesome. I think a lot of people need to get back more towards that. Because it's always, it needed another year or it had to be at least 130 inches or something like that. You're like, dude, this is exciting. I'm smoking this thing. You know what I mean? And I love that about you, dude.
Absolutely, dude. That's our primary source of beef is venison. We don't buy beef. We buy chicken and stuff like that, but we do not buy beef. We buy chicken and fish. And It's just, I now don't get me wrong. I won't go out there and shoot a yearling or a fawn. If it's smaller than my
Right.
dog, I'm not going to shoot it. So, like if I look at it and I compare my German Shepherds to it, and I'm just like, I could get more meat off my dog than that thing. I'm not going to shoot it.
Right.
But if I'm happy with it, I 100% will shoot it. I'll post it. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody thinks. It's my deer. I did what I went out there to do, and it just that's the end of it. If you got something bad to say about it, move on. Keep scrolling.
Yeah, I haven't really seen anybody give you a hard time. I mean, I'm
Well,
sure the way it plays out, I'm sure like YouTube, I'm
yeah.
sure there's some people on there that make some pretty hateful comments.
Oh yeah, there's I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say hateful. I mean, but I have had some people say, "Oh yeah, you shot a spike. Whoop-de-doo." And I'm just like, "Whatever. Bye."
Right.
And then you get some people that are just like, like with my big buck, my 8-point. So when I shot him right in the shoulder and he buckled and went face down almost instantly. So I didn't re-rack right away. It's just, it wasn't in my mind. I shot him and watched him go down in the scope. So
Right.
I didn't re-rack, around right away. So when he started running towards me, I re-racked it, turned around, and then I shot him. But someone in the comments was like, "Oh, you're not that quick on the rear rack, and better get to practicing on that," or something along those lines.
Right.
And I'm just like, "Shut up."
Oh, I've had so many hateful comments on YouTube. It's almost comical. I've had to delete a lot of them
Oh yeah, it's
because
honestly one of the best things you can do is find a buddy that doesn't care because I won't go on there and I don't make myself look like an ass because as we're with blocker and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and I'm gonna maintain professionalism all the time. But I do
Right.
have a friend that does not care, and he will go on there and he'll troll the hell out of somebody if they say something bad on me. He'll go on there and he'll make them delete their own comments. It's because they don't want to get a notification from it anymore.
Right. That's funny.
But oh yeah, it's get one of those guys because those guys are awesome to have around.
I might need to hire that guy.
He'll do it. Oh,
Not
he'll
that I
do it.
have not that I have a bunch of content that's like that, but you will one in particular, Adam's buck from 2022, I think it was. There was a bunch of people saying you shouldn't show the video of the buck going down, blah blah blah, and there was like I think it's up to like 24,000 or 25,000 views, so it gets a lot of traffic. So and it's like I get one like once a week, like you should just or one on there that really made me mad was nice work, cameraman, LOL, or something like that. Like I think he was making fun of me because I was a cameraman. I'm
Mhm.
like, I would love to see you do this.
It's
Get up
not
here
easy
and
to
try
do.
my job because it ain't
It,
easy.
it's not
Like
easy to do. It's
no.
one thing if you're just a cameraman or just hunting or just this, but especially self filming or even being the cameraman, it's not
Yeah.
easy to do.
He shot
It's
the deer at less than 5 yards. It was straight below me.
yeah. So
So
how are you gonna like? It's
like when he shot and I was trying to back it out to get the deer running through there, the deer was running through thick stuff and you could hear it, but you couldn't really
well,
see
yeah.
it. But who cares? We just shot our first one on film. We're jacked up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, when it comes to that too, like with my public land buck, it's I got both bucks filmed. The private land with the gun, he's in the picture because it's there. I mean, I was able to get it set up in time, but the other buck, I was so focused on him. During the shot, you can see a very, very, very tiny bit, and you can see my lighted knock when I release it, but you can't actually see the hit on the deer or anything, like after that. Because I've
Right.
got a big tree in front of me and I was trying to get it set up right. And I didn't. And I put the camera where I thought it would have been perfect. And after that, my focus is gone. But
Right.
at the same time, yeah, I delivered content and stuff like that. But at
Hmm.
the same time, I am one of those guys that camera's not important to me. It's
Right.
if it's between the camera or a deer, the deer's gonna win. If it's a deer I want, the deer's gonna win every time. I don't care
Right.
about camera light. If it's legal shooting light, that I don't care. Whatever, fine. It doesn't get filmed. You'll get the aftermath and you'll get the story, but you're not gonna get the shot. I don't care. It's
Right.
just I work too hard to go out there on public land and do a setup to be so perfect like that to say, oh man, I didn't get the shot on camera. I can't shoot the deer if there's no shot or something along those lines.
Right.
It happens. Whatever. Don't care.
Yep. This is the truth of it. I'm not basing my life around you watching my YouTube video.
No, could care less. It's whatever. Okay, fine. If that costs me a few subscribers, whatever. Don't care. It's
Right.
fine. It's my deer. He's in my freezer.
It's awesome, man. Anything else you want to talk about, bud?
I mean, you got any public land spots in Indiana? We can
Yeah. I don't know how far are you from Indiana, anyways. How long does it take to get to the line, at least?
So I'd say a couple hours. Not too bad. It takes about the same amount of time to get to where we go in Michigan. So I mean, it's not like that's not that bad. Plus, I mean, it doesn't really matter for me just because of the fact that with Michigan, I mean, if you want to drive somewhere at any distance at all, and you're going a couple hours, which after you do it so many times throughout your life, a couple hours feels like 20 minutes when you're driving all the time to get anywhere.
Right.
It's just like, yeah.
I got a spot that'd probably be about a 5 or 6 hour drive for you that
Oh yeah.
I've hunted quite a bit on some public land. More than happy to send the pins to you, buddy.
Oh yeah, I'll take them. Hey, while you're at it, send over the pins for that Kentucky 160 acre.
Yeah, you're not getting that pin. That'd be a hell of a drive for you. That'd probably be like almost a 10-hour drive for you.
I got family in Kentucky too, so I'll just stay at their place and I'll just go there from there. But
That's awesome. Well, buddy, I appreciate you coming on, and we got episode 95 knocked out. Episode 96, we're gonna be me and Dylan's gonna have that knocked out soon. Kind of the podcast is gonna be a very weekly thing now, especially with the holidays coming and going. We're gonna be hitting it pretty hard. We actually have a huge guest lined up for episode 100. Can't wait to share that news with everybody once that finally gets recorded. I want to record it first before I tell anybody who it is.
you can text me. I won't say anything.
Right. But I appreciate you coming back on the show for your third time. I'm almost 100% sure you'll be back on for a fourth at some point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love talking with you. It's fun.
Oh, for sure. It's fun. Always fun having you on, man. Tell everybody where they can find you and your channel and these videos of these bucks hitting the ground.
All right. So on YouTube, if you really want to look hard for me, you can just type in Jordan Brown. You will find me eventually. You could also look up Thwacks and Backstraps. So that's THWACKSN Backstraps. You'll find me real quick on there. And honestly, if you go to that and click on my link tree, which you can also look me up Jordan Brown on Facebook, and you'll find it that way too. But if you click my link tree, you'll have all the stuff for Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. You'll have everything once you find that link. But it's pretty much Thwacks and Backstraps on everything. Or Jordan Brown if you really want to look harder. It's a picture of me with my big buck this year. So you can't miss it. Big smiling guy ear to ear with a buck in front of him.
And a belly full of deer meat.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, everybody go check those videos out from his public land buck and his personal best buck there in Michigan.
All hunts are filmed with an iPhone 13 Pro Max, too, in case anybody's wondering.
You wouldn't even be able to tell that, buddy. People wouldn't even know if you wouldn't have said that, which is awesome too. But everybody have a safe New Year's and New Year's Eve.
Happy New Year's, everybody.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good rest of your holidays, and we'll be back here again next week for episode 96.